Rick, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Keith. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for making time for these on a regular basis, man. Every time we do it, I learn something new from you, and it's just wonderful. And when I talk to people who listen to the podcast, they're quoting something that Rick says. Like whenever they get caught up on something, they're like, "Rick says none of it matters, and it's all going away." It's just
Well,
everything else you say, man. And I just want to thank you for your wisdom.
you're welcome. I hope it helps people. And I struggle with my demons every day, and so I want to make sure people understand this is just a few things I've learned over the years, but everybody's different, and we all have to go our own way.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about that, Rick. So the topic of today's podcast is going to be really kind of like asking you how you came to know some of these things. So let's take that one, that none of it matters and it's all going away. Where did you come up with that? Like, how did you come to know that? Because I think of it all the time that I'm caught up on something and my ego is like got me, in the back seat of the car. I'm not even buckled into the car. It's driving, foot on the gas, taking me all over the place. I'm
Yeah.
suffering left and right, and I'm mad about something that this person said or didn't say, that they didn't do. I'm fearful of what won't happen. I'm attached and clinging, like caring about, the tone that somebody gave feedback or misinterpreting it. Just all of this obsessive behavior that I'm caught up in. When did you come up with Keith? And I remember when you told me, you said, Keith, just remember, none of it matters and it's all going away. Talk to me about that.
Well, that's a big topic, and it has a lot to do with experiences where I felt at the end of my rope, where I didn't feel like I could, it's a cliche, but go on. Of course you can, but
Right.
I was feeling just beaten down. The world was telling me that I was not what I thought I was, and this was over a period of time. It involved my divorce. It involved money issues. It
Mm,
involved losing cases in court. And you have that happen in life all the time. There are perfect storms that bring you low. Well, one of the things that I kept focusing on was the idea of detachment. I kept thinking, these are problems that are external to me, and maybe I can figure out a strategy to get past them. And I was reading a lot of Zen at the time, a lot of Eastern philosophy, and the rule that seemed to keep coming up was that you are not your problems. You are not what you think you are suffering from, is not what you think is causing your suffering. It's your interpretation of these events. So that was the first part, the idea that there could be a dichotomy between what I was actually afraid of and what was really the cause of my problem. And then I guess the second thing was I'm a writer at heart, and I do a lot of journaling. So I work out things on paper. And it's not a good thing to read my journals because they'll be fiercely judgmental and antagonistic and awful. But those are the ways that I cope with things that are troubling me. So one of the strategies I developed when I was going through these bad times was I thought, okay, suppose I wrote this novel that brought me to this place, all the losing of the cases, the feeling unloved, the feeling that I was less than who I thought I was, the wife rejection, money, bankruptcy, close to bankruptcy. And so what if I was writing that novel and I was the character in the novel? Okay, could I pull back and get the 10,000-foot view? And let's pretend that I am the character that I'm writing about. And so I would think, okay, what would be the most interesting or the most heroic outcome for this main character
mm,
in my journal? And I would write something that would be, well, he does this, he does that, he considers this, he goes that way. And
wow.
instead of, and I found myself, because of this influence of reading these self-help things while I was going through this, that I wasn't focused again on trying to beat the enemies outside or stop the externals. I was really focused on detaching. So the stories that I wrote had to do with how this hero that I'm writing about would let it all go, let it all go, and experience peace and be thankful for those external pressures because they brought him to a place of peace and knowing. So I wrote extensively about that. I'd say for at least 6 months, almost every day, surely every week. And after a while, I realized, what I'm writing about the hero, that's the change I want to be. That's the guy I want to be. And then I just started to pretend that I was that guy. And the bottom line of all of that, after I finished with it, I guess I'm still not finished with it because I still do it all the time. The bottom line to all of that is detachment is the way to inner peace. It's
Mm,
not it's not the same as not giving a damn. That's different. That's irresponsible.
right.
What I'm talking about is letting things go so that your internal mechanism of self-preservation, your feeling that you're part of something bigger than yourself, the feeling that life is okay as you want to make it, that was ingrained in my writing. So the idea is that little technique worked for me, and I think other people come upon it differently. So that was just my idea of letting go, and then I realized if you carry that to its logical extreme, I'm just one little dude on the planet. I'm a pimple on the big butt of the universe. I'm not
Yeah.
even that big. And so if I go away, so what? You know? So I guess the idea was I finally realized how small I was, how insignificant I was as a result of all this, but how peaceful I was when I considered that it doesn't really matter. It's all going away. I'll do my damnedest to make things right, but I'm just going to let it go at the end of the day. It's going to be beyond my pay grade as to whether it works out. And if it doesn't work out, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, Rick, I mean, that is just so beautiful of how you directed the mind, right? Through writing, you directed the mind, you gave it a job to do. And the job to do was is to put all these things on paper. And then for the character, you want like, okay, how do we overcome these things? Which was less about the things, but really overcoming the self, right? And your attachment to those things being a certain way. And you did that beautifully. And then you said, okay, now let's suit up and let's be this character. And,
Well,
and
and there's a lot of pretending. Keep in mind, a lot of what I did was to pretend. It wasn't like I wrote this stuff down and I had an instant solution. I had to figure out how to bring it about, and I thought I'm just going to write this novel or this short story about how this character gets out of this with his self-worth intact.
right.
And it had nothing to do with beating up other people or a car chase and I win and I kill the bad guy. None of that crap, because that's what brought me to that place in the first place. That's how I got screwed up. Beating other people and competing and
Yeah.
winning and being proud of it. Anyway, the point of it is that detachment, the role play was instructive for me and really deeply, deeply satisfying.
Yeah. Well, it's been your experience has been instructive for my life. And so thank you for taking the hit. Thank you for taking the hit so I don't have to.
Good. That's great.
You saw me over there taking it. This is it's almost like this. You saw me over there taking hits and you were like, hold on, I got a book for you. So now here's a book. It's got a lot of lost legal cases, near bankruptcy, a relationship coming to an end. But you can read the whole book or you can live it. Or let me give you this. None of it matters and it's all going away. Rick, thank you. You helped me do this. And this is what hopefully these podcasts are doing for other people. It's like, you don't have to go through this, right? The 10,000 hours we spent doing this, you already 3,000 in. Hey, you stop there. Let me give you the playbook. This is all you need. Here's your script. Like just follow. Nope, don't do. Well, let me do it. Nope, already did that. Didn't Rick tell you he was doing car chases? He was doing all that. You don't have to do the car chases. There's a different way. And so this is just absolutely beautiful, man. There's one thing I want to also kind of say that resonated with me is how all these things, the cases of winning, losing, being up, being down, relationship, the conflict and resolution and going back and forth and the near bankruptcy, all these things, they're just things that come and go. They're all part of the human experience. And when you get wise to that's what happens. It comes and goes. Can you be the same through the coming and going, through the ups and downs? That's what it's really about. Because there's going to be something else that's going to hit your stuff, that's going to take you up. Don't attach to it. There's going to be something that takes you down. Don't attach to that. And just be, as you mentioned, detached. Constantly remembering, constantly practicing that none of it matters. It's all going away. Rick, close us out. That was just beautiful.
Oh, Keith. Well, thank you. I don't want to be, I don't want to have people believe that that's the only way to go find inner peace, or the only way to look at things and have a sense of relief. There's lots of different ways of going, but I think it all boils down to understanding what you can control and what you can't, and coming down to the base principle that you always have a choice about how you react to circumstance. And how you react determines how much you're going to suffer. So if you're reacting, let's say, to somebody who cuts you off in traffic, the guy who cuts you off in traffic doesn't care. You're not doing anything that would affect his life. And you think you are. You're sort of acting out because you're mad and you want to get back at the other person. If you can let that go, then you don't suffer. So all I'm saying is that I'm a coward. I'm selfish. I don't want to suffer. So I tried all these blind alleys, and this is the one that came up for me that has meaning for me. But the viewer has to look at his or her own life and decide, how do I get to where I want to go? And here's the hard part too. What is it that you really want? Some people want to win. Well, that's not consistent with the detachment idea. And then we have to be careful, because we're talking about winning in the context of a career is not the same as winning in the context of your life. They're two different things.
I love it, Rick. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much, Rick. I love you. Excellent show. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Keith. Good to see you. And I really love being with you. So thanks for including me.
Oh, you're so welcome.